Alright, so if you're watching this video, the first thing that I'd like to tell you, it is not over, right? Do not give up. So this video will be discussing the aftermath of the Kitasan banner. There will be a lot of fallen soldiers in battle, and then for those that have come triumphant, I would like to say congratulations. Now, let's get to the important bit here. Now, the first thing that we need to discuss right away is the banner. Due to the banner being double rate, double SSR is listed as 0.5% rate, but there is a note here where they probably supposed to make it 0.75% rates. But in the in-game rates, it was stated to be 0.5%. Now, the reason why there's a caveat here is because shortly afterwards, there is a Super Creek and Tazuna banner where the rate up is, as you can see, 0.75% each. So there is that to consider. So if you didn't get that lucky, that may be one of the reasons why. And it's because of the fact that it may have been a 0.5% rate rather than the 0.75% that you would usually get. Now, let's move on to the next part here. Again, as I said, it is not over. So we're first going to be comparing different LBs. So just because you didn't get MLB, you would at least have a copy or two. So in terms of the comparisons for the support card, as you can see, 0 LB to 2 LB are basically around the same performance. So if you're within this window, you know, it's all good. You're not really going to get a difference. So if you have 0 LB, for example, you're basically at 2 LB at this point, you know, not really too much of a difference right there. Obviously, the big jump comes from 3 LB, and obviously not too much of a difference in MLB, obviously, but you do get a lot of specialty rate up in between the two. But yeah, overall, not too much difference for 0 to 2 LB. And yeah, it's always at the end right there, so don't feel too bad because the amount of pulls that you would theoretically need to do to get 3 LB and 4 LB is a major amount. So if you didn't get her in 200 pulls, then, you know, don't worry about it, don't sweat it. We're going to be talking about that in a moment. So before we move on, however, here are the comparisons between the SR speed cards with Kitasan Black. Let's start with 0 LB. So as you can see, Narita Taishin actually has a lot of the highest values when it comes to the just general card stats, right? She fills in a lot of the same role as Kitasan Black. Rather than instead of power bonus, we do get speed bonus instead for Narita Taishin. And King Halo actually gives you both a speed bonus and a power bonus. But overall, as you can see, her performance is actually on the lower end compared to the SR cards. And then if you go to LB1, I can arguably say that it is still in the lower end when it comes to performance, as in the others are still probably more effective. 2 LB, again, the SRs are still high, still relatively, probably still better, but definitely competitive in stats compared to Kitasan as well. Of course, we can't really ignore the skill hints. Kitasan has a lot of very generalistic skills. So, you know, I guess even if you have her 0 LB, I guess having her is still nice to have these skills ready, just to make straight recovery and corner recovery cheaper, for example, for when you're getting Maestro and the breath one, the straightaway recovery ones. Obviously, once we get to 3 LB, that's when things start to change. With the much higher specialty rate up, as you can see here, Kitasan is now, I guess you can say, better than the SRs. And then for LB, obviously now she is much better than, now she's definitely better. Now, in any case, in the case that you have less than MLB Kitasan after your 200 pulls or more, well, there are ways to get the dupes for free. The first thing that we're going to be taking a look at is through missions. So we'll take the first anniversary for example, but by doing missions from limited events over time, you will be able to get something called the Rainbow Limit Break Fragment. And essentially with these stuff, by doing limited events, right, or limited missions, combining 20 of those fragments will get you a full crystal, which is basically your universal uncapped material for support cards. So this will be one way that you can get it as a free-to-play. Just do keep in mind you do need to get 20 of them before you can get one. I'm not really too sure how often they do give these out, but considering how the gold fragments have an extra limited mission caveat here whilst the rainbows do not, I would expect to get these after a long time. The second one is actually, as far as I know, through anniversary mission. So I know that would mean that you'll have to wait until next year for this, but basically if you complete the missions that the anniversary missions are given to you, then you'll be able to obtain a SSR support card selector ticket. So for those that do have Kitasan MLB, you can use this for another card. And then if you don't have MLB, you can use this for Kitasan to get your own MLB Kitasan, and then you can move on to other things to limit break and so on and so forth. So as you can see, that's already one. Second anniversary also has their own one, so you can expect every anniversary to have one. So, you know, in due course, you'll eventually get your own, even if you started at 0 LB. Now, for the final bit here, outside of the free-to-play farm, there are ways to get the dupes, but it will require a bit of cash, if you know what I'm saying. Over time, they will also release packs, paid packs. So for example, like in the starter pack store, like the starter packs when the game released in launch for global, there were packs that you can buy that had guaranteed 3-star tickets. You will get something similar along those lines in the future. I believe some of them are actually SSR selector support cards. So in those ones, you can also get Kitasan Black as well. So, you know, if you're willing to, splash out a bit of money, then you will be able to get those dupes in that sense as well. So outside of a free-to-play farm, there is also a pay-to-win aspect to the farm as well if you wish to do so. In any case, for the final bit here, if all else fails, right, if you really believe that it is over, for example, if you really believe that it's over, then the one final thing that I can really say is there is always the re-roll. Now, as much that might hurt, re-rolling will be a gift, and you will thank me in the future when you're still playing this game, because trust me, if you really feel like your account is over, re-roll. Just trust me on that, re-roll, and you'll find it as it'll be worthwhile. Of course you may have farmed a lot, you may have gotten umas, raised them up, so on and so forth, but if getting Kitasan is really that important to you, I suggest actually re-rolling, because at the end of the day, you can re-roll to get like 3 copies of Kitasan, and then after that you do even more pulls until 200, at which you're most likely to get MLB at that point, more likely to get MLB than starting from 0 with 200 pulls. And at the same time, you'll have good SR support cards as well, because at the end of the day, you're pulling on this banner not only for Kitasan, but also pulling for the support cards. The SR support cards, to be specific, the SR support cards, because those SR support cards are still good to use. Do not underestimate SR cards, especially if they are max limit break, because they will be your best friends for a very long time, because outside of Kitasan Black, there might not be any other SSR cards that you might have MLB, or you might not even have any SSRs MLB, at which point all your MLB SRs will actually be more valuable when doing your future runs. And in any case, that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, it is not over. This is a good game. I know that the thumbnail is a bit fire, you know, if I do say so myself. That's thanks to some of my friends, some of my club members in the Discord helping me out on this one. But yeah, it's not over. It's a good game, you know. Don't let it get to you, you know. Always get up, never give up. That's all I will say. But yeah, let me know how your pulls went. Hopefully you did good. If you're one of the fallen soldiers, I salute you. Do not give up. You can still come back. I would suggest re-rolling for sure. But, you know, you can always splurge out if you really wanted to. But, you know, it is what it is. In any case, let me know down in the comments below anything in regards to umamusume, or, you know, even Wuthering Waves. I'm still working on that. Don't worry. It's been your boy Nitrostorm. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.